Hey, Peter Buswell here for DrVoIP.com. In this video, we're going to review integration concepts for AWS Connect. And we're going to focus specifically on customizing an agent dashboard. But we'll walk you through some of the tools that you should become familiar with if you're going to do any type of integrations. No call center is an island. I think everybody will agree that if you log into AWS and go to Connect, you can spin up a call center instance, an inbound call center instance, in very quickly, within minutes, if not hours. Certainly a lot less time than trying to deploy a customer premise solution. It's pretty simple to set up Connect for basic inbound call processing, but at the end of the day, no call center is an island. There are requirements for integration. I don't think I've ever worked in a call center environment where there was not some type of requirement for integration, whether it's a data dip to support customer-driven routing. For example, you might route an incoming phone call to an agent based on the area code of that phone call. So to do that, you're going to need to have an external database. You're going to take the inbound caller ID, pass it off to that database, return some information, and route your phone call based on that return. So that's an example of a data dip. Other types of integrations, Salesforce probably very popular, Microsoft CRM, Sugar CRM. I mean, there's hundreds of them out there. Every organization is going to have a different customer relationship management. A lot of medical practice, electronic health record integrations, Epic, things of that ilk will need to uh, be built out in Connect as an integration. You're going to want to create some collaboration solutions, basically perhaps a website integration where you can co-browse with a visitor to your website. You may want to create some team chat functionality so your agents can converse with each other or with the supervisor. You're going to have requirements to increase the functional definition of your call center. So, for example, you might like to use Lex, which is a natural language processing front end AI engine. This is the 21st century. Why we are still pressing one for this and two for that, when the technology for allowing people to say and speak um, and self-navigate through speech rather than touch tone. It's a mystery to me why we're not using more of it. But if you're going to build that into your Connect instance, you're going to require some uh, skills that are outside, I think, what someone who is just dragging and dropping some scripting solutions on the call center screen there. So you're going to become familiar with a number of different AWS service solutions. For example, Lex and Poly. Lex is your speech recognition engine, your natural language processor, and Poly is your text to speech engine. You will undoubtedly make use of both of those facilities. The next two go without saying. If you're going to do any type of database integration in Connect, you must learn Lambda. And this is not a course on Lambda, but it is a requirement in Connect that if you're going to integrate with some external resources, web services, whatever, you're going to have to do that through Lambda, which basically is a function as a service. Your functions can be written in JavaScript or Python or whatever you like to work in, but you're going to have to deal with the serverless framework, and Lambda is absolute requirement. You're also become familiar with databases, in particular DynamoDB. Lambda and DynamoDB go together very nicely as it relates to AWS call centers, and you're going to have to develop some expertise in the area of Lambda and DynamoDB. Kinesis streams, absolutely essential as you're trying to pick events in the call center, a stream of events coming at you, and you want to be able to isolate different events. You're going to have to become familiar with Kinesis. Cognito is great for user management if you're integrating with an application that perhaps requires some type of control about users, authentication. Cognito is a great tool for doing that in Connect. You may want to do some voice analytics, poor man's voice analytics, I call it. So we can take a recording, for example, stuff it through AWS Transcribe. We can translate it into a different language. We can keyword search it. There's all kinds of things there. These are the common ones you'll be working with if you're doing a call center integration within the AWS environment. You may or not you may or may not be using CloudFormation. I would encourage you to become familiar with serverless.com, which is a framework for implementing Lambda functions, for example, and getting them uploaded into AWS and doing that within a framework called serverless. So those are some of the things you'll find that at connectdemo.com, there is an interface that will enable you to play with some of these solutions. And when we get done here with the PowerPoint slides, we'll actually log in and I will show you how to make use of this Connect demo. It's a great site to go and play with some of the kinds of things that you can do with Amazon Connect, doing external integrations. AWS Connect has many, many, many APIs, SDKs, all kinds of real-time feeds. You're going to become familiar with these APIs if you're going to do any type of integration with Connect. So on the left is just an example of some of the values and variables that you'll find in these APIs. So, you need, for example, to list users or update a contact attribute. Very common to do that, contact attributes within your call flows, especially when you're interfacing with Lambda, right? Let's assume you want to maybe greet a caller by their first name. So you're going to have your incoming phone call, you're going to grab the caller ID, you're going to pass it off to Lambda, invoke a Lambda function to look that phone number up in an external database that might be in DynamoDB, and you're going to pull back a contact attribute, and then that may be the value for the person's first name, and now we can play a prompt using that contact attribute. AWS has a number of streams you're going to want to be familiar with. The contact trace records are generated. This looks a lot like what telephony folks would say is a call detail record: date, time, duration of the call, number dialed, endpoint connections, all types of information about a particular contact that's hitting your call center. Contact attributes, we'll look at that in greater detail in just a minute. And of course, there's the agent event streams. So these are just three. There are others, but the point is you're going to have to develop some software development skills, become familiar with AWS facilities, the various APIs, the various real-time event feeds, um, con contact attributes. Contact attributes themselves are of a specific type. So you can see here that we have a check contact attribute. And when you open that puppy up, you'll find that there are different attributes. For example, there's a system attribute. System attributes are attributes defined by the system. You can't change them, but you can access them. There are agent attributes, queue metric attributes, and of course, user defined. So when you're doing an integration, for example, we just discussed getting someone's first name out of a database. You're going to use a contact attribute to do that. You will invoke lambda functions using this external variable name convention. This is how we pass requests between Connect and Lambda. And of course, there are lex slots and attributes. So you set contact attributes and check contract attributes. Here's an example of invoking a Lambda function. I think I'll show you this one when I show you some work that we did on a custom uh, dashboard, but we're going to invoke a Lambda function. And I think what we're going to do here is check an external database to find out if we're open or closed for a holiday. Very common in a call center to be able to do this. Connect doesn't do that out of the box, but you can use the same tools we've been talking about, Lambda, DynamoDB, and use this kind of check contact attributes to see what the value of your Lambda function, what was returned. So here you can see on the right here a list of the different attribute categories that you'll find in your check attributes. We discussed that in the previous screen, but system, agent, external, for example. In this application, we've checked that we want to use an external attribute. And further, we're going to check to see if the condition is true. So in this example, we're running out to a database. We're looking to find out if today is a holiday. If so, we have an attribute that we defined called is closed. And if that's true, well, then we know we're closed and we take a different call path here. Um, Here are some other examples of checking contact attributes. Um, in this case, we're selecting the type system, and as you can see, here's a list: customer number, dialed number, the customer's callback number, various uh, attributes that are defined by the AWS Connect system. You can't change these, but you can access them and make use of them in your call flows. On the right side of the screen, this time we've selected a type of queue metrics. And in queue metrics, you can see the various attributes available to us. So to summarize, I haven't really found anything we can't do. Um, and we have found Lambda as a function as a service, a way of integrating Connect with the outside world. Almost exclusively, we're using DynamoDB for database access of information that is specific to the Connect call flow. For example, things like, well, in this example here, are we open or closed today? Is today a holiday? If I want to look up some routing information, we'd probably create that database ourselves and do it in DynamoDB. So you're going to need to become familiar with Lambda and DynamoDB as a minimum to do any type of customization or integration. So let's go ahead and look at some real-time activities. Okay, let's take a look at AWS Connect demo site. So connectdemo.com, go there. Before you can actually make use of this facility, you're going to have to whitelist this endpoint. So go to your Amazon Connect, into your instance, go down to application integration, and go ahead and hit add an origin and drop this connect demo URL. Basically, what you're doing there is creating an endpoint whitelist. You're allowing AWS Connect to interact with that endpoint. Then the next thing you'll need to do is put your instance ID in here. Go ahead and submit it. And what will happen here is it's going to ask me now to log in. And once I do that, the soft phone now appears here. So what we want to do is let's try, for example, I don't know, screen pop, see what that does. So once again, it brings up my soft phone. I go to dial in number, and when we go ahead and dial that, you'll see the screen fills in with all this useful information about the phone call. You'll get your unique contact ID. Uh, every contact in the Connect solution is going to have a unique ID. You'll need that to interrogate your streams to manipulate this phone call, for example. You'll notice up here the SIP header. Lily, I believe to be a stream that interacts with the telecom facilities at AWS. And I'm committed to learning more about this because I personally want to be able to get at the SIP headers, which enable us to do more interesting things. So at the end of the day, what I wanted you to see is that there's a demo site here that has lots of facilities for you to play with and get a feel for integration options, including um, data management, um, being able to look at specific references about Lambda, granting permissions, dynamic flows, and even information about DynamoDB. So go ahead and play with this. It'll be very instructive. Okay, I'd like to show you the Dextr dashboard. The Dextr dashboard is a customized AWS CCP tool. It's an agent dashboard, a supervisor dashboard, and an admin dashboard. You can make use of this yourself on your own AWS console. Um, go.dextr.cloud. Go.dextr.cloud. There's another video in this series that'll show you how to set up your AWS Connect instance to receive Dextr. It's a very simple process as long as you're the instance supervisor. It'll take you no time to get this set up. But I'd like you to see what it is possible to do with integrations and customization using very tools we've been talking about in this video. So you'll come here, you'll put in your instance ID, you'll go ahead and log in. Much the way you did with the Connect demo, you're going to go through a similar process. We whitelisted it, and now I'm going to my dashboard. And in my dashboard, I have a replacement. It doesn't really replace it, but it augments your current CCP, and this is what it would look like. You can put your own logo up here, your own avatars here. I'm logged in as Chris, new old boy genius, CTO of Dextr, and this is a dashboard that enables me to see the status of all my queues that I am a member of as an agent. I can see the various my activity, my performance, wait times, contacts in queue. We even have live look, which now will present a list of all of the people in queue. Over here on the side, I have a tab for my teammates. I can see them. I can see their status. As they change their status, it illuminates differently here. If I go to engage, you'll see my CCP metaphor as well as a recent call list. I can click a button to return a call. Uh, um, we have chat, video, SMS, and social on the product roadmap at the moment. This CCP does pretty much everything, if not more, than the current standard CCP. We have an activity tab that will not only bring up all of my activities, but it will enable me to retrieve recordings. So if you've turned recordings on in your Connect instance, this will enable you to download the recording and then play it here. Again, this is permission based. The assumption is your supervisor has enabled that permission for you. I can have my own personal directory. Um, I can see users if I am the administrator and I want to change the permissions of a particular agent, so I can edit that agent and set up their permissions. Um, it's role based. I have a settings tab. In my settings tab, I can see my own avatar. You go through the various, get out of here, go through the various uh, options in settings. The one I want to show you here is hours of operation. I can go ahead and set the hours of operation. So this kind of sets the time. And I can also create uh, closure. So one of the things that you will find AWS doesn't have out of the box and is a great integration option is holidays. Or in addition to holidays, how about if I want to close the call center for an hour or so for a team meeting? So I could go ahead and add an event, say it's a team meeting, and I can select all the queues or just one queue. So I just want to close this one cube here. And is it an all-day event? No, it's not an all-day event. It's an event that's going to only take place from, I don't know, 5 o'clock to I don't know, some other time. We just set the times here. And what's really exciting is we can create a prompt that's played to the caller using Poly. So we are closed for a team meet and we'll reopen at 10. Okay, so we can go ahead and create that event. So that's an example of integration using the tool set that we've already discussed. If we go back here to Connect and I pick up, let's say, my main greeting call flow, you'll see how we create, in this case, we create a lambda function. Again, this is not a lecture on a lambda, but basically I want to go check an external database and check, are we closed for a special event or a holiday? You put the lambda function in here, and it will retrieve some information. That retrieved information is going to be a contact attribute called isClosed. And basically, it's an external attribute. We talked about that briefly before. It lives outside the system, and I created this is closed. So what's going to happen is we'll check that database. If it says is closed is true, if that's the case, then I'm going to route my caller to that prompt that says we are closed due to, and this is interesting because you can see here that we apparently get a reason code from the external database, and we're also providing the text to speech information required to play the custom greeting. So these are all examples of how you might use the various facilities of AWS to connect to create your own dashboard. Actually, I hope you will make use of the Dextr dashboard. It's a great tool, and we continue to enhance it day by day. Again, go to Dextr.Cloud for more information about the company, the services offered, and the Dextr dashboard. I hope you have found this informative, and I thank you very much for viewing.